I played 300 days of Stardew Valley EXPANDED as a thief, though if you see my other videos, you'll know I'll already be taking you along for Ember's full 3rd year on the new Empire farm. We'll actually be striving for perfection this time, but if you weren't caught up on her previous antics, you're gonna want to watch the other 2 years first to understand the challenge and the chaos. Like last year, we've got a brand new twist coming up, which I'm not gonna spoil just yet. Trust me, it'll be worth it. But anyways, as always, all the mods I use will be linked in the description. Hit the like button to bring Ember some good luck. Grandpa's certainly believing in us from his assessment here. And now, let's get into it. Stepping out into the fresh spring air on day 225, we begin with a beautiful sight of all 4 candles being lit at Grandpa's shrine. Gonna be so honest and let you know now that I forgot that I could collect a statue from the shrine, so leave your best bets in the comments as to when I remember it exists. I carefully cleared out the sprinkler spaces since I don't have a huge amount of seasonal crops to plant really. My main focus when it comes to crops this year will be the berries and the ancient fruit that I've mostly already got. Sure, I could plant more ancient fruit outdoors, but I hadn't yet finished filling my greenhouse, so that'll come first now that we're done with the grand starfruit grind of year 2. Speaking of starfruit, I could now bring one to apples, except apples was nowhere to be found. I did panic a little for a moment in case something went wrong, given that they didn't even show up in the friendship tab, but for right now, I just wanted to wait to see if they'll be back tomorrow. With the taxes due tomorrow, I had to make sure Lewis knew I had dirt on him. Dirty pants, I mean. Hopefully that'll do the trick to stop me being ripped off quite so much. Then it was over to the island to gather up the week's ancient fruit there, except it wasn't ready yet, so I'll save it for next Monday so that they're all done on the same day. I'd have to come on Mondays anyway to clear the weeds, and to check the key quests, but to my surprise, Mr. Key was missing from his walnut room, and there was a new warp that doesn't work for me yet. I wonder what that means. The key quests were not what I wanted this week, and we might as well check that perfection tracker to see where we're starting this year. We've got many milestones close to being done, but some of them like the obelisks, golden clock, and crafting were what troubled me the most in that moment. The S counter was my first shoplift target of the year. I still wouldn't mind being able to plant more, but for today, there wasn't much here. Thanks to our daily dehydrated ancient fruit, our profits look like this most days, and then on day 226, I was shook to see that I only got taxed 153 grand and I had no bills. Wow, I must have done a number on Lewis yesterday. This mail doesn't even make sense. The reality is I had to get up and quit my game before starting this day, so I guess something went wrong with the fact that there was a restart the day my taxes were due. I don't know what happened, but hey, I'm not complaining for now. I was relieved to see that apples had officially taken up residence at Aurora Vineyard today, so I could start the slow game of bribing them with my leftover ancient fruit. I wasn't expecting to get an immediate gift myself of an ancient seed though, thanks. And I got to make a warp in the basement to and from my nexus so I can waste less time on the long walk. I wonder if Apples knows what they're getting into. My next stop was the Adventure Guild to check what was left of my Monster Slayer goals, and I completely forgot that Gunther would be waiting for me here after I agreed to escort him to the mines last year. We did in fact find some interesting stuff down there, which I really wanted to take for myself, but I have appearances to keep up. I thought obliterating a slime with my bare hands might spread the word that it would be a bad idea to mess with me. It was worth it. I'll also get a bonus payment for my show of bravery. With that sorted, I could get into the guild to bring Lance a tropical curry whilst he was there. And checking the monster eradication board, I found I have just one more void spirit to go, as well as 94 magma sprites, so I might as well get the easy one done today. Pam then drove me to the desert so I could trade for a couple of golden carrot seeds, and I wanted to check the casino to see if I could afford any more farm totems to keep me going throughout the year, but as I arrived, Mr. Key had something to say to me. Kinda weird that he's treating me as if we've just met again. What's going on? Or is this him saying he wants to talk more? He was saying some nice and also interesting things to me, and maybe I could use this. If I gain his trust, maybe he'll stop trying to ruin my life? Not that he can ruin my life. It would just be easier in the long run not to keep getting sent back in time, you know? Yes, I've added a friendable Mr. Key mod. It's the light version of the mod, which, despite its name, is still packed with content, but we're gonna have our work cut out because these are his loved gifts. I mean, what do we expect from one of the most mysterious beings? I do need to figure out a supply of those things ASAP, but in the meantime, I got back to my original plans, which was to see if I could buy more farm totems. I couldn't right now, though we do have 30 to keep us going for a little bit. Back in the valley, I had been pickpocketing people without much success. I do this quite often so you won't always see it, but I can almost always guarantee I find some kinda decent stuff behind Clint's counter. The wizard waited for me to wake up the next morning to tell me he'll have a new apprentice arriving in the valley tomorrow. Another one to befriend? Ugh. The 20 grand check in the mail from Gunther for my combat finesse could cheer me up. Then I fished a sea sponge out of Willie's pockets on my way to the volcano for the day, where I plan to chip away at the magma sprite goal, and hunt for the dragon teeth I'll need for crafting and the obelisk. It would probably help if I didn't let the local monsters blow the teeth up, and whilst the hot java ring I found in a chest absolutely lifted my spirits, It is one of my favourites after all. That one lost dragon tooth really did hurt because after today's gathering, I was now just one short of building the island obelisk. I took my frustrations out by dragging Clint out of bed to open mystery boxes, hoping to find either the Book of Mysteries or the Book of Stars as love gifts for Mr. Key, but I had no luck there either. I raced straight back to the volcano on day 228 to merge the hot Java ring with an iridium band I crafted. This will replace the one I merged with the vampire ring now that I have a fairy to heal me. I was excited about all the free coffee and triple shots coming my way, and the dragon teeth too, but I did forget to bring my watering can this time, so I took my leave from the 5th floor exit and dug up the ostrich egg with a golden walnut just outside. I wanted to confirm that this was my last walnut to find, but apparently I've still got one left. According to the parrot, it's one I need to harvest with a crop. You can't get it from regrowable ones though, so I'll come back another day with some taro. As for the ostrich egg, I debated just shipping it as is, but since I need to craft the incubator for the Craftmaster achievement anyway, plus the need for an extra profit source, I thought I'd better hatch it this time. For today's shoplift, I was after some seeds from Pierre's counter, but there was nothing in season here today either. At this point, I was beginning to regret returning the missing stock list. It's great for winter, but I didn't foresee having a harder time getting the other seasonal crops right when I want to grow them. Day 229 began with a shed harvest, and I wanted to take a little forest walk with the travelling cart out there today, and stop to chat to Andy at his farm where Scarlett was working. I begrudgingly agreed to lend a hand with Andy's jam business. He did say he'd pay me after all, so I get to cut into his profits, plus it seemed to please Scarlett. I could eventually be on my way to the travelling cart where I met Morgan. How convenient. I was going to pop over to the wizard to bring them a void egg anyway. I didn't find anything of interest at the travelling cart, and to be fair, meeting Morgan there didn't exactly prevent a visit to the tower really. I still had to go there today to get my first obelisk built. I went with the island one for easy access to the volcano and my bigger ancient fruit farm. With one more gift to hand out, I visited Aurora Vineyard next, but apples was nowhere to be found indoors. I thought they might be just outside, but I got distracted by the sense that a new hidden path had opened up. It led to this magical place known as Sprite Springs, and I think you're meant to get a cutscene introducing you to some thankfully non-friendable characters, but it didn't trigger for me for some reason. You can bathe in these springs once a day for a random buff, and over the other side there are often a bunch of flowers, ancient fruit, and sometimes sweet gemberries to forage, and the crows don't seem to eat the stuff here. There's a hidden cave in this waterfall too, containing some mushrooms and more forageable ancient fruit. I love this place. Apples was back indoors to receive the starfruit by the time the distraction was over, and after getting a deluxe bait supply sorted for the remaining fishing I need to do, I finally got a handful of seeds from Pierre's that I can grow, in the form of kale. I had the year's first batch of wine to handle the following morning before a day planned in the Highlands. First to bring Lance another tropical curry, which reminded me to collect that reward he told us about last year. It's a diamond wand. This thing is kind of ridiculous, and I'll show you how it works later. Aside from the gift, my main goal for this trip was to catch the regional fish here, today handling the fiber goby, the Highlands bass, and the gemfish took me a few attempts as I had to keep stopping to swat the swarming bats, but I did get a hold of it that night. Any monster crop seeds I got I planted in the greenhouse. I decided that I wanted to leave a good amount of indoor space now in case there were any emergency crops I might need to grow, and believe me, I'll be thankful that I did. This wine day's profits came in at about 370 grand. Then, on day 231, I continued checking off new fishing catches, starting off in Cindersap Forest where I caught the king salmon. At Sprite Springs, I brought some flowers to make a walk to my nexus, and it was here that I could catch the glowfish and the meteor carp. That was all the fish I thought I could acquire for now with the locations that I'd unlocked, so it was on to a new task. To kick off the new gift week, I brought a purple slime egg to Mr. Key I forgot I had, and of course apples got their starfruit. Then it took me hours to track down Morgan and West Cindersap so I could be rid of another void egg. I chose to shoplift from Harvey that evening for a change and just got a sports drink. I don't tend to get much here, so I won't be here often. Got a better beverage pickpocketing a bat on the farm, another Super Jojo Cola. This alone is good enough reason to steal from people, and monsters directly. It's like a drink version of the Dewdrop Berry, so you can combine them for all day buffs. Camilla kidnapped me first thing on day 232. She just took me to my nexus for an inspection of sorts, but she thought it could do with a little something. She then whisked me off to a brand new location, an outpost in Galdora by the Crimson Badlands. Words simply cannot do this place justice. Vast expanses of wastelands in every direction, and in the daytime, honestly, stepping into an oven probably would have cooled me down. This was apparently prime adventurer territory with all the hazards around, so Camilla challenged me to exploring the place and uncovering its secrets. To make it so that I can actually get here, she gave me a swell stone to activate a new warp, the last location to complete my nexus. But honestly, the biggest perk that got me today was access to Lance on his birthday, or I wouldn't have been able to get to him. I first noticed a new chest which I couldn't help claiming the contents of, but it was just a shop schedule. I can't buy from these, can't steal from them either, but I will still be checking these in case there are recipes I need. Anyway, I handed Lance a key season tropical curry which finished his friendship, so yeah, I really did unlock this place at the most perfect time. I was gonna have a little look over the badlands, but chatting to Alessia and Isaac in the tunnels, I realised I probably wasn't quite ready just yet. I wanted to get the remaining weekly gifts done instead, but was surprised to find Lance waiting for me on the farm. He told me to meet him at my island farm at my earliest convenience, so I headed straight over. I couldn't see him there, but then he materialised right next to me on the beach. Kinda creepy if you ask me, especially when he told me that he's basically been watching what I've been up to over here. He lent me a blink relic so we could admire the waters from a usually unreachable vantage point, but apparently that was just a test and I had to give it back. He then asked me to accompany him to the first/guild hall to show off the monster crops I grew for him. We walked from somewhere deep in the jungle that I couldn't ever find again, to a new little island called Fable Reef. Stepping inside the guild hall, Lance's friends marvelled over my work. I wasn't really sure what would come of this research, but I definitely want to find my way back over there one day. Being a Monday, it was time to harvest the ancient fruit and clear any weeds here. And as for this week's key quest, I challenged myself to finishing Key's crop this season, in the hopes that maybe the key quest might help me with Mr. Key's friendship, whilst I can't easily get his love gift. I did have some for apples though, but I also gave a Stardrop tea for an extra boost because they don't have a birthday. Morgan and the henchman got a little something too. Then for some gifts for myself, I stole a whole bunch of mossy and mystic tree seeds from Robin. I found Camilla out by the broken bridge on the farm on day 233. She told me all about the breathtaking lands on the other side, which she must know would pay me whilst I can't get over there. She can, however, use her magic to repair the bridge if I bring her a bunch of stuff. And when I laid my eyes on the list, I was flooded with a sense of dread. Some of the materials won't be too bad, but how the heck am I going to get 25 red slime eggs? As far as I was aware, they were pretty rare, and I wasn't entirely sure if I was going to get these together by the end of the year, though I won't give up without a fight. The wizard waited until Camilla was long gone to visit me next. He'd heard I'd met the first/guild members yesterday, and would now allow me to use his basement warp over there. We now have an easy way back for whenever I'm up for a trip. That won't be today. I wanted to handle my next mystery trade with the raccoons, some veggie-based goods in exchange for another red cabbage because I still haven't shipped one. I guess this was my sign to get it done. The rest of the day was out in the desert chopping and replanting the trees. It wasn't just for the wood. This is a decent way to get some starting key beans, so I got to plant 45 of them in the greenhouse the next day. A lot of that wood went into 25 more kegs, 12 of which I broke in with some potatoes for Pam's strong stuff special order. That's the shed now full, but any remaining ones I'll start lining the house with, the best kind of furniture. It was Robin's turn for some carpentry skill. Had to order her to build me a new premium coop to allow me to own a goose. Then I was ready to return to Fable Reef that afternoon. There was some new beach forageables here to ship, as well as, of course, some new fish to catch. I spent my afternoon catching my first daggerfish, a legendary turret fish worth a good chunk of change, an awesome looking viper eel, the stripy torpedo trout, and finally, the seemingly elusive arrowhead shark which took into the night time to show up. I could not wait to get out of there, but on the bright side, I did fish up 18 more key beans to plant. On day 235, I made a couple of slime egg presses in a mild panic about the bridge materials. Probably goes without saying that neither of my first 2 eggs will be red ones, but I might as well try for the purple and tiger eggs that Mr. Key loves as well. I was short on some of the other bridge materials, so today was for foraging in the swamp and slaying the purple flying things for their swamp essence, though any dragon teeth were a nice bonus. I gathered 46 swamp essence over there over the course of the day, bringing my total to 55. The bridge needs 40, and the other 15 will be saved for crafting the marsh tonic for perfection. On day 236, I brought Clint my mystery boxes to open in desperation, still after books for Mr. Key's love gifts. You'll see I brought some normal mystery boxes as well. I didn't bother trading them to golden ones because both books are extremely rare. The golden boxes technically have about double the chance of finding it, but double a tiny number is still a tiny number, so I'd rather just have more chances. And yeah, still no luck today either. Speaking of books, Marcelo was in town today. I still can't buy any books from him, nor can I steal them, but I could trade some of my spares to him for some useful items like deluxe bait, hardwood, and sea jelly. I didn't bother with the coal for the mining monthly. I already have hundreds of the stuff. I stole a very disappointing single pizza from the saloon on my way home, where I placed an additional 25 kegs around the house. The next lot of wine was ready. I had 134 bottles to sell this time, and next week there'll be a lot more. It was then back to fishing, in the Highlands again. I really thought I got them all here, but I'm gonna be honest, I had to look up the location of one of the new fish because there was a cave I didn't notice, and therefore haven't visited before. It's in the area just below where the dino boss lives, and it's called Diamond Cavern. Can you figure out why? I got the diamond carp catching out of the way first, then rewarded myself by picking the new flowers and mining every last diamond. I guess this would have made the dwarf's 36 diamond request last year so much easier if I knew this existed. On day 237, the fruity stairs in the greenhouse indicated our first key fruit harvest. Instead of just shipping all of these and hoping for more beans later, I put every single one in the seed maker. This is probably the easiest way to accumulate the 500 we need, but it is still pretty time consuming. I had to pause work on that to attend the egg festival, Even found Mr. Key hiding away from everyone in town so I could say hi for some friendship points. And something extra, apparently. I'm not sure what he did to it, but that unexpected interaction led me to finding only 8 eggs during the race, so Abigail stole my crown and my prize. I'll find a way to get my revenge. Didn't have much time to dwell on that tonight. Had to get back on with the key fruit replanting. They're now overflowing outside, so these sprinklers will actually get some use. On day 238, I made a few geode crushes so I could get some extra minerals to craft with or sell from home. I kind of forgot about this for a while, but being a Sunday, I could trade for some staircases in the desert ahead of the upcoming festival. Then with some luck on my side, I wanted to check out the Crimson Badlands for the first time. I was delighted to see that we could forage red slime eggs here, and now Camilla's bridge list makes a bit more sense. But just like those diamond caverns the other day, I wanted to get the fishing out the way first. I almost died trying to catch this undead fish, but they're done now. Thank goodness for the life elixir. I traversed the Scorching Sands and used the diamond one to swat some of the bigger serpents out of existence, but I wasn't anticipating the scorpion stings being quite this potent. Camilla was looking all smug when she rescued me, but thankfully, all I lost was the coffee I'd got from the monsters out here. I healed up and headed back out west, much more carefully this time, aiming for a particular cave tucked in the corner, guarded by I guess some corrupted mummies. I don't recommend doing this section without the Crusader enchantment on your sword. If I had to stop to put bombs down, that would probably have ended me too, but I eventually made it through and found all of this treasure waiting for me. There was a voice talking to me in there, which sounded a lot like Camilla, but I didn't care about that. I wanted my loot. If you've not entered this cave before, make sure you bring a prismatic shard with you. You need one to open the chest inside to claim the Galaxy Slingshot. I am, however, terrible with slingshots, so I never ended up using this thing. Coming back outside, I used the diamond one to tell the monsters to give me some space to continue my exploration, but the only thing I note was this awesome looking gate which keeps us and the monsters out of Castle Village. Marlon appeared on my doorstep on day 239 to inform me of a meeting at midnight tonight that I need to be at. Sounds important! I had to keep busy to distract myself from the suspense of all of this, and thankfully, it's a Monday, so I have a load of ancient fruit to harvest. But it's not just any Monday, it's the first day of this year's desert festival. This first free outfit was way cuter than the first one I had last year. Let me know if you remember, but other than keeping the watermelon band because I actually do like it, I've been the other pieces. They just aren't really me. The cactus man picked a spiky friend that apparently looked like me this year. Maybe on a tired day, I suppose. I don't know, what do you think? And I was in a bit of a rush today since I can't be late to the midnight meeting, so I scarfed down a sour salad, left my cactus to guard this cave, and dived right into Skull Caverns to take advantage of the good luck. My Adventurer Guild quest was to reach floor 30 today, which I passed within a couple of hours and found an auto petter right after. I carried on caverning to improve my egg rating and hunt for more loot, pickpocketing from monsters the second each cooldown wore off. We've got a long way to go to max that skill. With all the treasure down here, I could easily have gotten carried away today. Yes, that's another auto petter, but I did reluctantly get out of there just after 11 PM from floor 131 to make sure I get to the meeting. Why don't we check out the loot review? So, you already know about the auto petters, but I was pleased to be leaving with 333 calico eggs, a whole bunch of ores, and a few golden mystery boxes amongst the rest of the stuff. I did immediately throw out the cinder shards, because with an egg rating of 56, I'd wowed Gil with my skill, and got 500 more calico eggs, and a magic rock candy for my efforts. Ended up being a little late to the meeting. Kinda awkward that Marlon was there waiting for me, and told me off for checking the trash, but let's see what this urgent matter is, shall we? He informed us that there were a trio of legendary monsters for us to hunt. A purple mushroom crab in the marshlands, a golden slime in the Highlands, and a diamond sand scorpion in the badlands. You just know they're gonna have some fascinating drops. The 3 targets were divided by the other adventurers in attendance, and as for me, I get to assist with all of them. In other words, I have to do all the work by myself. And to add insult to injury, this task tells me I don't even get to keep the hard-earned loot. I will still be helping on future days, it does still sound like fun. I caught Robin at her shop just before she left on day 240 to task her to build me a slime hutch. I'm not sure if I want to raise a load of slimes yet, but this way, I'll have the chance of getting slime eggs as a drop from slaying slimes once it's built. Yesterday's auto petters got added to the house, the more the better. Then I brought Morgan another void egg on my quick trip to the wizards to build the desert obelisk, and to move the old coop out of the way so that the premium one can take its spot. I had to keep the old one, because the crows ate the incubator, auto grabber, auto petter, and heater from the scarecrow-less premium building, so this was the only way I could have the choice to hatch more eggs if I want to. I ignored the desert festival for most of today. I don't need a huge amount more eggs, and I had a key fruit replanting to tend to, but I did pop over there briefly in the evening. I wanted my free outfit. The camo shirt is not my thing, but I kept hold of the trousers, and I picked up the 10 mystery boxes from the egg trader here, having forgotten to do this yesterday. I then took the bus back to town to drop off Pam's potato juice at the trailer for a payment of $3 grand, and a treasure chest from the price ticket which I'll definitely sell. More key fruit appeared the next morning, so I dealt with that before moving all the animals and equipment from the old coop to the slightly more spacious new one. That meant I was ready for a new animal from Marnie, but when I got to her door, the bear stepped out in front of me. I hope they haven't eaten the whole family. It was worse. They called me Jungus, but the family was still alive, well, and maybe friends with this bear? They've got more bear friends who wouldn't mind living in the premium barn. Having already got a new animal last year, the camel, I was not expecting another. I suppose I better get hold of one, except Marnie already left for the desert festival, so that's not going to happen today. I stole some milk for compensation, and prepped some scarecrows for the soon-to-be-finished slime hutch on the farm. I then pushed forward with more keys crop progress, placing a couple of extra iridium sprinklers I had in the chest. I'd now filled out all the spaces on the farm already, and had some extra fruit I could turn into extra beans, so I might as well utilise them to speed things up a little. I didn't go to the desert festival till the evening again. I did not approve of this outfit making me look like a fisher, and to spend some of the rest of my eggs, I traded for some strawberry seeds from Maru, along with the magic rock candy from the mysterious egg trader. Any remaining eggs went on 9 mystery boxes, but I couldn't just leave this last one all on its own here. I completed the Scholar's Easy Quiz for another 50 eggs to come away with the last mystery box, and any leftover eggs then got spent on hardwood from Leah. Once I made it back home, I found out that the crows or the weeds destroyed one of my scarecrows by the farm entrance, so a portion of my paths were missing. The scarecrow I replaced with urgency, but I'm sorry to say, I couldn't be bothered to fix the paths for a little while. On day 242, Marlon showed up at the farm to congratulate me on my new slime hutch, and even brought me an extra green slime egg. That was my cue to pick up the scarecrows I prepped to put inside. The incubator that's usually here was obviously already feasted on by one of the valley's well over 100 crows. Not ideal, but I could just craft a couple more, and got my first 2 slime eggs incubating. I didn't forget a sprinkler for their water supply either. Stay hydrated, friends. I could then take the minecarts to get Clint to open all of the mystery boxes I got from the festival. I got some okay loot, but no important gift books. I blame Clint. I don't know how it's his fault, but it is. You might have noticed that I brought some bombs and staircases in there. I have the Danger in the Deep key quest to do, which should be a much easier win than Keys Crop. I don't usually use all that many staircases on this quest, but even though the Statue of Blessings was trying to help me out with a luck buff, and I'd snacked on a dewdrop berry, it was still a bad luck day, and I didn't want to spend the whole rest of the week on this quest. The only piece of loot of any real interest today was the iridium needle from one of the blue special slimes, though that being said, I didn't use it at all. I don't really use daggers unless I have to. On this first day of descent, I pushed my way down to floor 75 before warping home so I could make it to bed, and as much as I wanted to resume that progress the second I woke up the next morning, I had too many other tasks to get through today to make it to the mines. Like we had the next batch of ancient fruit wine and jelly on the farm, and I had to get my gift rounds in. When I got to Apples at Aurora Vineyard, they wanted to show me all the starfruit they were growing through the rotting floors of the house. They were kind enough to share a good few starfruit with me, but then they said they made plant friends and named all of them. I'm concerned. The ones Apples just gave to me? What were their names? Did they just give me their victims? Is this some kind of a threat? Like when you give Apples starfruit, they say, and I quote, "Yummy. Please don't eat your friends." Fig apparently doesn't like me though. Maybe I should eat Fig. Never thought I'd say that a visit to the henchman felt far less cursed. It also took till today for me to realise that I still hadn't finished Jazz's friendship yet either. That was easily fixed with one last fairy rose. Then for the rest of the day, I had to channel my focus into the next key fruit harvest. With all my sprinklers full, I could finally start shipping off some more significant amounts. As for my next shoplift, I went for Pierre's for a variety of seeds, and the grass starter recipe I didn't know I still needed. A nice little win to end the day, plus the almost 500,000 gold we got overnight from all the ancient fruit products. Another harvest of mostly key fruit started my day 244. The green beans were important too. I've been slowly working on harvesting 100 for a special order throughout the season. It just worked out that I already had a decent amount of them planted. Another 73 key fruit went into the shipping bin today, then I had some gifts to get done for the last day of the gift week. I started with apples this time, and when I stepped outside the vineyard to enjoy some fresh West Cinder sap air, they popped out of a bush and asked if we could play. I didn't want to get eaten, so I obliged. But then Andy walked up on us, which was kind of embarrassing, especially because Andy isn't magically inclined and can't see apples. So to him, it looked like I was just jumping on the spot, out in the woods, alone. I'm glad we're max friendship with Andy. It probably would have felt a lot worse if we'd just met. Now that that's over, I could get to Marnie's for the new animals. Well, I was only planning to get a goose today for the new coop, but I forgot about our last chat with the bear and got reminded I need to buy one of those too. I went with the goose first as planned. I know these lay eggs, and I was only allowing one of each non-egg laying animal, but I've only got a golden egg at home which I don't think you can hatch, and I'm not sure I could otherwise get a hold of a regular goose egg, so our new feather friend Chai is a necessary addition. I did get a bear too, because they have a special type of honey I need to ship, and for a honey-based drink name, I went with mead. It was kind of weird though. Like, isn't this one of the forest bear's friends? Do they not already have names? I mean, I suppose the other bear is just called Bear. Anyway, I'm rambling some nonsense, so let's move on. The henchman got a second weekly gift. then I kept him company in the marshland for a bit whilst he was foraging to make a living. He still hasn't got his job back from the witch. He finally admitted that it was not my fault that the witch fired him. A lot had happened before I came along, and accepting that bribe was really just the last straw. I got a sense that I should say that I hope he gets his job back, but that last big offering was not nearly enough, so we'll have to find out what grand gesture he'll need to pull off to make that happen. I got round to fixing the Crow-Eaten Pass that evening, which killed enough time for the theatre to be closing so I could bring Martin an ice cream, and since I was nearby, I delayed my bedtime a bit to shoplift a measly 4 gold ore from Clint's. I think it goes without saying that I worked on the key fruit grind the morning of day 245. That took until midday, so I really had to put the pedal to the metal if I wanted to get this Danger in the Deep quest finished. It's deadline day for that one. Despite the bad luck, again, I didn't need as many staircases as I thought I would. I went more than 20 floors without using any, but then used them a little more liberally after that because I didn't want to pass out down here, and I wanted to guarantee success. It was about 10 PM that I made it back down to floor 120, and now I have access to the harder mine shrine if I want to use it at any point, but unfortunately, completing key quests seems to have no effect whatsoever on our friendship with Mr. Key. That means spending all of this time on the Keys crop quest has been kinda pointless. Sure, we get 100 key gems for completing it, but I don't really need them anymore. The problem is, we're too far through now, and I'm too stubborn to give up, so I might as well see it through. I do this almost every morning the next few days, so I might just not mention it. You know it's happening. Monday also means it's time to harvest our other blue important fruit, the ancient fruit, and once all of that was dealt with, I took a long sunset foraging walk in what should be the foresty areas hunting for leeks. I have the Gifts for George special order to do. I found myself wandering through a more narrow passageway that night in West Indisap. Usually not advisable, but at the end, I stole a bottle of maple syrup from the forest bear who lives here. He didn't seem to notice what I took, but I did have to wake him up to check on his shop. I'm glad I did. I had to buy the baked berry oatmeal recipe and the flour cookie recipe for perfection. On day 247, I went out on my way to say hi to Mr. Key whilst I still don't have a good supply of love gifts. He's not having my tea set, plus I have the extra friendship blessing today. After selling some extra gear cluttering my chest, I took the opportunity to rob Robin while she was at the exercise class and got a surprise find of some fairy stones. Other than that today, I just foraged some more leeks. Having harvested some more green beans with that morning's key fruit, I completed the big crop order overnight, and as part of that reward, I got a mini shipping bin in the mail on day 248, which I plopped down outside the big shed. It was Flower Dance Day. I was grateful to be able to earn some extra friendship points from Mr. Key hiding out by the entrance, and since there wasn't anyone I could dance with that would give me a needed friendship boost, I defaulted to my wife, who was probably expecting me to ask her anyway. From the massive key fruit on day 249, I made sure to only replant in the spots containing deluxe speed grow so they'd grow in time. The rest can be shipped. The end is near. By the time I was done with those, the kegs were ready for more wine. Then I could finally leave the farm in the evening to shoplift from Pierre, mostly for saplings I can sell, and to drop off the leeks for George so I can get another big quest off my list. From that one and Lewis's crop order, I had 2 prize tickets waiting for me, so I claimed an iridium sprinkler and another pig painting from the machine. I was excited to be able to hatch more slimes on day 250, even if I was disappointed that they hadn't produced me any harvestable slime yet. You'll be pleased to know that my knowledge of the Statue of Perfection from Grandpa's Shrine finally made its way to the remembering part of my brain today, so now we'll have a slow and steady trickle of iridium ore ready for us each day. I tracked down Apples, the henchman and Morgan to bring them gifts, and passed the rest of the day in the volcano whilst I still need dragon teeth to craft with, and quite a few magma sprite kills for the last monster eradication goal. On day 251, I pulled out the eggs in the coop ready for Gus's next omelette, which reminded me to check the barn for any new animal products. I noticed the new ostrich hatch when I got in there. Not gonna lie, I forgot about this, so I have no idea how long it's been chilling waiting for a name, but welcome Slushy to the barn. In the auto grabber, there were several jars of honey from our bear. See what I mean? It's different, and valuable at $1,000 each. It's not even a love gift for anyone, so I can safely just sell it. Thanks to yesterday's volcano run, I had enough dragon teeth to craft my very own mini forge. I was very overdue in changing my galaxy sword to look like the Meowmere. I just adore the look of this thing, and I love having a little touch of Terraria in my game too. Plus it makes a cute little rainbowy firework animation when you kill monsters, and that's enough of a draw for me. I was back in the volcano again to keep chipping away at the magma sprite kills, but warped out of there in the early evening to make sure I get in the last of the weekly gifts before some of these peeps go to bed. Apples beat me back to the farm to invite me to some sort of party, which I'll try to get to at some point in the future, and of course our last gift of the day goes to Martin right after he finishes work. The good thing about these sorts of hours is that it's a perfect time to pickpocket from Clint and get in my next shoplift, which added to my seed supplies now that summer is just around the corner. On day 252, I gathered up all the key fruit on the farm to chuck in the shipping bin. This giant one I'll leave where it is though. I've never had a giant key fruit before, plus there's more than enough from the smaller ones to definitely complete the quest. For this decent luck day, I felt like giving the Crimson Badlands another go with the power of a dewdrop berry to help me. Camilla was selling some wares at the outpost today, but no recipes, so I won't be buying anything from her. I was there for a matter of seconds before I turned around and headed back to my nexus. I'm not chickening out, don't worry. I just forgot to add an extra buff from bathing at Sprite Springs first. You do have to sit in it for a good few seconds to feel its effects, and from that, I got +3 attack. That's pretty perfect. Exactly what I was hoping for. I needed to collect some more void souls and slime eggs for the farm bridge, and I spent pretty much all day trying to hunt Apophis, the giant corrupted royal serpent, for its loot. And I don't mean this measly little minion. I covered all edges of the map and came to the conclusion that I'm obviously too powerful today and has chosen to hide from me, but the legendary diamond sand scorpion wasn't afraid. I was expecting something other than a smurfified little scorpion, but this thing took a good smacking. I was really careful about chugging a life elixir the second I took any amount of damage, and after a multi-hour battle, I finally squished that bug and claimed its treasures. The item of interest here is the magic lamp. Annoyingly, I do have to give this one to Marlon, but it's a love gift for Mr. Key, and I need to ship it, so you'll be pleased to know that the legendary monsters can be fought once per day. And to wrap up this season, I received my key gem reward overnight for finishing the Keys crop quest on the very last day I could. Waking up on the first day of summer, I was notified about the new season's weeds, but also that the next 2 slimes attached. They're both male again, so I wanted to get another 2 going in the hutch right away, only to find out that in those few seconds, the whole building and all of its contents got stolen by the crows.
Okay.
Oh. As you can see, a few tiles of the building weren't covered by any of the scarecrows, and that's all that's needed for something to get taken. Give them an inch and they'll take the whole darn building. That's how the saying goes, right? I added a deluxe scarecrow to be 100% sure the gap is covered, then I could get back to what I should be doing on the first day of a season, which is planting a bunch of crops. Most of what I have on hand is corn, but that's good because it will see us through fall as well. It was then over to Robin's to get her to build me a replacement slime hutch. She doesn't need to know what happened, and she didn't question me placing it in the exact same spot as last time either. I saved the weekly ancient fruit harvest till afterwards to try and lift my spirits from this rocky start to the season. I wasn't even going to let the island's miserable weather bring me down, and I treated myself to a couple more galaxy souls from the key gem shop to add to my one at home so I could upgrade my galaxy sword to the infinity blade. No. Don't get me wrong, the damage upgrade is necessary, but now I've lost the unbeatable aesthetics of the Meowmere. It was fun while it lasted. To at least partially redeem this day, I brought Gus those eggs for the omelette, and I suppose the mega bombs from the prize ticket were fine. Then I paid an extremely overdue visit to Krobus and some of their friends, who have been expecting me for, honestly, weeks. The Void Spirits wanted peace with the humans, but some wrongs must be set right first using magic. For that, I need to bring 5 dozen Void Souls, so there'll be plenty of Badlands adventures this year for sure. On day 254, I had almost 1 million gold removed from my balance for my bills and taxes. Now, whilst it was our highest bill yet, it was actually a lower percentage of our income from last season. Remember, we did build 2 obelisks and some expensive buildings, and at the rate that we now have money coming in from the artisan goods, I wasn't worried. If I didn't threaten Lewis with those pants, it would have been way worse. I used some fairy dust to help me make some more raccoon supplies instantly in the shed, but my thank you gift was just a repayment of fairy dust. I shoplifted from Marnie's while she was out, and Shane was watching his food spin, then as I entered the main part of town, I found Mr. Key admiring the community centre and all of my hard work restoring it again. He actually gave me some good food for thought, which I'll be keeping in the back of my mind. Strangely enough, I was headed to Clint's to open some more mystery boxes, and at long last, I got a book of stars from one of them, a loved gift from Mr. Key. I wasn't going to wait a single day to hand that over for the friendship boost. Progress on this one is really slow going. I refreshed myself in Sprite Springs and got another handy attack buff which I put to good use in the marshlands. I have the legendary purple mushroom crab to fight out here, but as the name suggests, they're disguised as purple mushrooms, so I used my cursor to help me identify it. If it shows a plus sign, that's telling me it's a forageable, but when I saw just my normal cursor, that's when I knew I found it. It did still take some hitting, but it was far weaker than the scorpion, and I had a better sword, so it took barely any time at all to take it out for its mega purple mushroom. That leaves just one left for the legendary trio, which I was to wipe out on day 255. It's the golden slime in the Highlands, which only emerges from the ground once you get close enough to it. I chopped this thing into many slices, and from that, I got 1 of each slime egg, including a new golden slime egg which is the quest item. I don't think you can hatch these, but the fact that I can get both tiger and purple slime eggs from this boss might just be our answer to Mr. Key's love gift. Instead of safely storing my loot at home, I went straight to Galdora, first to check on Alessia's shop, who doesn't sell any recipes, and then to hunt Apophis again, or the blue scorpion to get another magic lamp. I couldn't find either of them that afternoon, so I just walked home again. My backpack kept overflowing. My replacement slime hutch was now built, so I added a couple of deluxe scarecrows this time, another iridium sprinkler, and another 2 incubators to hatch a red and blue slime egg. I then reluctantly handed over all those valuable legendary monster goodies to Marlon at the Adventurer Guild, and not only did I single-handedly complete the entire quest without help from the other guild members, I wasn't even paid for my efforts. Marlon's just gonna pocket all of it. Apparently, I was wrong about the lack of reward. Isaac showed up the next morning to inform me that my prizes are waiting at the Galdoran outpost. I had to get another batch of wine going first, but I made haste to check them out as soon as I could. In the first chest was this hefty weapon named the Monster Splitter with some insane stats. It's big and slow, but the damage is wild, and in the other chest was a heavy shield for extra defense when holding it. I prefer to just have my actual weapon out though, so I don't make much use of this one really. I just had to test out the Monster Splitter in the Badlands immediately, and yeah, it pretty much does what it says on the tin, but just as I was a bit panicked about taking on Apophis, I found out it also works a bit like the clubs and hammers. If you've not tried this weapon before, you should know that I use the fast animations mod, so my weapon swings are about double as quick as they are in just vanilla, so be careful in dangerous locations like this one, or you might be stuck taking damage mid-swing. I don't know how I survived this next bit. I took a hit that brought me down to 1 HP and fled the scene by a warp totem in one piece somehow. A very battered and bruised piece, but I was alive and that was all I cared about. I healed up and headed straight back. This enemy has taken far too long to reappear, and I wasn't letting it get away that easily. I was after the void shard it dropped for shipping, and I couldn't find another blue scorpion today, but I could come away with some swell stones which I also need for shipping and stuff. I dumped one of each into the shipping bin, and with the second swell stone, I brought it to the Adventurers Guild because I was sure that Marlon wanted to see it, but nothing happened when I got there. It's the void shard he's after, not the swell stone, and annoyingly, I shipped that one first so I can't even recover it. Let's hope Apophis returns to the Badlands soon. I'm just gonna blame all the summer heat. That screen showing the available cutscenes, by the way, it's the event lookup mod, linked in the description with the rest. I would have missed out on a lot without this one. Can't recommend it enough. I found the henchman when I got back to the farm after I just visited him with a gift. He told me I should come see him tomorrow so he can show off his new tribute to the witch, which cost his entire life savings. I'm curious, we'll soon have to see if it was worth it. I brought Morgan a gift on day 257 when I was at the Wizard's Tower to build the 2 remaining obelisks, so that's the water obelisk done, and finally the earth obelisk, which, I don't know where to put this one, so I shoved it behind the old coop in the hopes that it might look a bit like a silo. I chased down Mr. Key with a tiger slime egg. He's gonna hang out in the forest today. Then Apple's gift was next on my list, but I found them just waiting there, alone, for that party. Either I missed it, or they ate all the attendees. It was neither. Apparently, the other Junimo said that Apple's claiming this home as their own was a mistake. The normal Junimo way is to rebuild a place after someone makes an offering, but they kept the lot. I have to agree with the other Junimo. This place should be mine, but I think trust is going to be the key to this one, so I just said they didn't do anything wrong. Looks like I was the only one to turn up to the party, so it was cancelled. That was until we stepped outside to find the bear was just arriving, having overslept. It's not the farmer who saves the day this time, it was the bear. I handed Apples another victim and left to see what the henchman has been up to. We followed the new pathway up behind his house to find some brand new shrines. Seems he had a little inspiration from within, but that doesn't matter. These look really cool, and they're functional to us as long as we make the right offerings. The witch flew overhead, seemingly delighted by these new additions, so I left him to finish begging for his job back and took a closer look at the shrines. There's one that prevents moss growing in exchange for a golden carrot. Nah. Armies of monsters can invade the rest of the valley if we bring an ornate chest. No, thank you. There's a shrine of betrayal which simply stared through me. This one apparently ends the piece with the void spirits, which we haven't yet achieved. Then there's 2 others around. A dark shrine of life where we can trade for more life elixirs, which I'm not sure is worth it. Then finally, we have the shrine of money. Now this I'm interested in. If we bring 20 supernatural goo from those big ghosts, we can get a tree coin to grow a money tree. I popped home to grab the necessary materials because some of you might remember that the one the Frontier farm usually comes with got eaten by the crows in our first year. This one will go in the greenhouse where I can keep a better eye on it. To continue the wins for this day, I took a trip to the Highlands to search for another golden slime. They don't always spawn in the same spot though, and it quickly grew dark, which meant I was mobbed by void slimes and void spirits. It was satisfying smashing them all with a monster splitter, but I had no luck finding the golden slime tonight. I successfully caught Martin in town on day 258 for his birthday. An ice cream and a Stardrop tea completed his friendship, so I can officially ignore him. I had to go to the desert just to say hi to Mr. Key because I had the friendship blessing again to squeeze out as many friendship points as possible. Not that he said anything back. Apples and Morgan both got their second weekly gifts before that resets tomorrow. Then I was back in the Badlands to fight Apophis again for another void shard ready for Marlon. Day 259 was this year's green rainy day. I began cutting down some of those weeds, then decided I didn't want to do that and fished in the forest lake. Not for fun, I promise, but I had to catch the gar here, the final fish for the Master Angler achievement. Who cares about the weather? The fishing is over! The town had become accustomed to the weird yearly downpour by this point, and so Clint was able to open my mystery boxes for me. I got a few books today, but none were what I was after. Back on the farm, I started depositing the weird array of bridge materials into the stone chest left by Camilla, but I do still have several things to go, most of which I'd find in the Crimson Badlands. It was a bit eerie seeing this place looking not quite so crimson, kinda made my foraging efforts a little easier with the void souls and slime eggs standing out a little better. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't also hoping to find the legendary scorpion here as well, but it stayed hidden away from me this time too. Things were looking brighter for day 260, and I don't just mean that the sun was shining again. I got my final star drop in the mail from Willy, another perfection milestone complete, plus the weekly ancient fruit harvest is always a good time. I got round to bringing the void shard to Marlon, who seemed more concerned than impressed. He said we had to bring it to the wizard right away, who was not best pleased by the energies he felt before I even showed him the shard. He tried to figure out its origins and its maker, but it ended up self-destructing. I knew I should have just sold it. I guess now I know I would have had to kill it twice anyway for the shipping collection. Anyway, he couldn't figure out everything, but he knew that someone or something made it on purpose, and he had to inform the Ferngill Republic Ministry of Magic at once. He made us follow him down to his warp, only to tell us we couldn't come with him, so why did we even come down here? He disappeared off to his meeting, and that was the last that we heard on the matter. From him at least. That was not enough to scare me off visiting the Badlands again. I still need bridge stuff, and the Diamond Sand Scorpion was up for a rematch this time, which I won again. Obviously, so that's the magic lamp dealt with for shipping. They're worth 15 grand by the way. I wanted to get another ticked off today, so I chose the gold slime despite the hour, and persisted through all the extra monsters to track it down and defeat it again about midnight. Not only for the gold slime egg to ship, but for the Mr. Key gifts too. In a strange turn of events, Mr. Key mailed me a different type of egg the following day, a dino egg. I already have loads of these. Maybe it's a hint if he knows what I got hold of yesterday. I have more materials ready for the bridge, so now all that remains are the monster fruit which I have growing in the greenhouse. They do take a while to grow though. You probably won't be surprised to hear that I sought out the purple mushroom crab in the marshlands that day to get another mega purple mushroom to ship. Then I stole a prismatic pot from Sandy's pockets in the desert as I passed her and brought Mr. Key a tiger slime egg to let him know I got the hint, but it seems he was already waiting for me. He'd seen all of my recent triumphs out in the Badlands, and apparently I'm the first one to ever successfully take down Apophis. He told me that Marlon and the wizard were a bit dramatic about the void shard, but wouldn't tell me more about his origins. Not suspicious at all. I would just back the heck out of there, but I still had his friendship to earn, so I still wanted to hand in the slime egg, but he'd disappeared from the casino. Whilst I was here, I used my leftover key coins to spin for more of them so I could get a top up on farm totems, then found Mr. Key hanging out by Skull Cabin so I could be done with his gift. Not many steals can top the prismatic pop today, and the contents of Robin's counter wouldn't either. Just 5 torches. Rubbish. No luck in Maru's pockets too, and getting that prismatic pop actually reminded me I still needed to cook one myself, along with several other dishes despite my ingredient struggles. That blueberries pie there? It's a recipe from Mr. Key. It would be just like me to make perfection just a little bit harder for myself each year, wouldn't it? Day 262 began with more gifts. I noticed Pam was off for the day when I took the bus back from the desert. I haven't messed with her sign for a while. With the next batch of wine ready, I added 15 more kegs to my house to grow the next lot. We got 184 bottles this week, already over 400 grand. I then shoplifted at Pierre's. Despite not planting as many seasonal crops now, I'm still hoping to avoid building a mill by shoplifting flour and sugar, but I have to say, that strat is not going well. Overnight, Yakult gave birth to a baby cow who I called Milo. That stuff's delicious. Then on day 263, I set up some more deluxe scarecrows in Cindersat for Project Crow's Begone. Hopefully this will help turn it back into an actual forest again. I wanted to take a quick break in the Junimo woods as I passed the warp when I spotted Abigail playing with apples out there. They're friends? After Abigail stole my egg hunt crown, I'm not sure I can have this. Plans will be hatching, just you wait. I got all 8 scarecrows placed with plenty of time to make it to the luau. I had to make sure I said hi to Mr. Key on the pier who will not be partaking in the soup, just observing what specifically I put into the pot. Not weird at all. I brought a gold cauliflower this year, a surefire way to get the governor jumping for joy again. I was feeling a Skull Caverns run for the amazing luck the next day with a couple of magic rock candies. My main goals for this day were a buttload of iron for kegs, and a buttload of iridium for cash. And maybe I could also happen upon some purple slime eggs if I'm really lucky, which apparently I am. I'm not going to spoil the rest of the loot yet. My long mining day took me all the way down to floor 203, which is where I passed out for the night. Let's check out that loot review. I genuinely cannot believe my luck. I got a second slime egg. Always happy with a free crystallarium, and as for the iron and iridium, I was satisfied that getting over 300 of each could qualify as a buttload. Anything else I got yesterday was really just a bonus. On day 265, I squeezed out the last few gifts for the week and officially became besties with the henchman. He had to go to work right after that and took his place again guarding the witch hut. He joked about accepting another bribe, but really, he's a changed goblin. Lucky for me, the witch made an exception to allow me to pass through despite stealing the magic ink last year. He said this might not be a good thing, but I'm not scared of her. She's usually full of joy when she sees me, and she has left me several gifts over the years. Returning to the farm, it turns out that yesterday's iron wasn't just for kegs. I also had to use a whole 50 bars on crafting an anvil I'll never use. I do eventually end up deconstructing it, but I hunted for more of the stuff in the normal mines for the rest of the day and came out with another 273 ore. I brought the raccoons and fish on day 266, but all I got back were 25 summer squash seeds I simply did not care about. I was far more excited about the 32 kegs I added to the house with all the iron we just got. Whilst I was in a crafty mood, I wanted to start tackling any recipes I hadn't made yet so I can see where I stand with the Craftmaster achievement. The lockpick one confused me because I was sure I'd done this before. Then with the hematites I'd been saving up for the magnet rings, it turns out I'd really underestimated how many I would need, and I used all 5 in just one recipe. I just know it's going to be a pain to get more, and you can't usually just deconstruct rings either. Still, I'd made a load of progress with the crafting today, and I guess that's all I can ask for. I do still need to work on some of the remaining materials though, so I headed to Clint's, first to open mystery boxes, still looking for special books, which I didn't get this time, and to open a load of Omni geodes looking for at least one hematite. I know I have geode crushers at home, but they're far slower than the mass smashing here, and I usually reclaim that cost directly from Clint by selling anything I don't need whilst I'm still in there. No luck on the hematite today, sadly. I did pop home for some more geodes, but by the time I made it back to Clint's, he'd already left for the saloon. I considered getting revenge by shoplifting from him, but decided against it because I was still in desperate need of cooking ingredients. Pierre had some flour today, except I accidentally hit escape on my keyboard and closed the menu without having taken it yet. You can't get back in once you leave that menu, so there's no flour for me. What am I like? I still had some crafty bits to do that evening, like making a couple more fish smokers to cook up at least some of the valuable fish I've been hoarding, and I set them up with some hoppers so I don't have to keep refilling them. I might as well get the income boost rather than them sitting in my chest for eternity. I also sold off some of my combat gear clutter, and on my way home after a slightly more stressful day, I could go to bed happy because I pickpocketed a tiger slime egg from Marlon. Day 267 and it's Monday again. Probably goes without saying that my priority was the weekly ancient fruit harvest. Then with Clint back at work, I could get a load more geodes open and found a hematite within my last few. That's going in a crystallarium. I'm gonna need a few more. Not much else to report this day. I thieved from Pierre's again, but the flour from yesterday was gone. On day 268, I needed to forage for more void souls when I happened upon the blue scorpion pretty early. I was going to try and look for it again today. I'm happy it came to me instead. It did almost kill me again, but it was nothing some spicy eel couldn't fix, and I got my hands on its all-important loot again, the magic lamp I'll keep for Mr. Key's gifts. I also ventured way out to the northwest area to fight some fallen adventurers I'd previously been avoiding. I needed a rusty blade from them, which is a monster loot item in this case rather than a weapon, and that's needed for the shipping collection. I escaped the scorching heat once I got what I needed, then decided I just needed to bite the bullet and ask Robin to build me a mill. It's just in case I still keep getting unlucky with not finding the cooking ingredients I need at Pierre's. It was then over to the saloon with another 2 dozen eggs for Gus's ever popular omelette, but I was mainly in it for the prize ticket which got me another 5 mystery boxes. Despite just putting in the order for that mill, I still shoplifted from Pierre today, and the continued lack of flour and sugar cemented my confidence with my choice to build one. I woke up to the newest batch of wine being ready on day 269. That meant I could clear the entrance into my recently completed basement, where the casks had all been crowed as expected. But that was fine because I was planning to house more kegs down here anyway, and scarecrows of course. Not that I added any kegs down here just yet. I was low on oak resin. Even with the growing wine production, I still had a lot of ancient fruit stockpiled, so I made another 8 dehydrators to double my daily dried ancient fruit income. To solve my oak resin supply issues, I wanted to build another tree tapper area. There wasn't anywhere on the farm I really wanted to put this, so it's going to be situated at the quarry. Clearly I've not been here for quite some time, so I picked up all the scarecrows to give myself an easier time clearing the rocks with mega bombs. The trees I was happy to remove by hand, or by axe, and I didn't end up covering the whole quarry in oak trees. I think I planted 27 of them, all of which got tree fertilizer, and some paths surrounding each tree so I don't get blocked whilst collecting the future tappers. 27 more resin per week should be plenty. On day 270, I found out I'd completed the shipping collection. I must have forgotten to ship that rusty blade till yesterday. I waited outside the oasis for Mr. Key to emerge so I could kick off my gift rounds with a purple slime egg that Michael might just be allergic to. Apples and Morgan got their gifts too. I'm glad I don't have many friendships left to work on, so I have plenty of time on a gifting day to do other things, like hang out in the volcano. I'd taken quite a long break from slaying magma sprites and started off this day with 22 of them to go. I didn't get them all today, but I found a prizzy with this iridium node, got a double tiger slime egg drop from slaying a slime, and in the floor 9 chest I got a dragon tooth shiv, which I will likely just sell. When I got home, I started planting some beets in the greenhouse ready to turn into sugar, and was pleased to see that the remaining monster fruit had grown. That's the last of the bridge materials. I can't wait to see what's on the other side, and Camilla got right to work on the magical repairs the following morning. When I crossed the bridge, I found a new place called the Ferngill Republic Frontier that adds an enormous amount of extra farming space that I have absolutely no hope of filling in this playthrough, but it does look like it's not been completely ravaged by crows for some reason. Here's a screenshot so I can actually show you how expansive this place really is. And aside from the extra farming space, we also have a much bigger mining cave with more of a variety of resources than the tiny one on the farm. Don't worry about the holes in the dirt, the place seems to be free of duggies. There are thankfully a few minecarts to get around the place a little easier, and off of one of the paths is a kind of secret exit that leads you to your very own hot springs, and this one gives a buff just like Sprite Springs. This is the only time I come here though. Sprite Springs is much easier for me to get to when I use my Nexus. We also have our very own beach, and there's a secret woods-like area that houses a giant harvestable crop. This is the only time I come here really. There's not much of a way for me to use all of this space. I just wanted to show you all in case you've not seen it before. Other than that today, I just pilfered from Pierre's and got not very much at all. On day 272, I skipped the trout derby. I don't want to fish, and I don't really need anything there. I instead ran around the whole valley searching for the prismatic butterfly. My hunt was unsuccessful. After giving up on that, I had a couple of gifts to get out, and when I arrived at the Wizard's Tower with Morgan's gift, I walked into a lesson of transmutation which was not going well. Perhaps Rasmodius is just not a very competent teacher. All I had to do was give a quick little demonstration, and that was enough for Morgan to effectively complete their spell. I handed over the void egg like a reward, then it was off to the desert to see Mr. Key at the casino. I had a little look at the bear machine that displays all of our stats, and tried to ask him how it works, but he brushed me off. Apparently I asked too many questions. I thought he would have appreciated my curiosity. As much as I hated that response, I still gifted him the purple slime egg I was carrying for the sake of friendship points, and now that I have a good few hearts with him, I could have a little nose around his home through a side door in the casino. There are several interesting and recognisable artifacts on display in here, but there are also a couple more doors we're still locked out of until we gain even more friendship. I kinda love these gradual evolving unlocks. I got straight to more gifting on day 273 for the new gift week, and finished off both Morgan's and Apple's friendship in the same day. I still got quite a ways to go with Mr. Key, who got another purple slime egg, but he should be our only friendship to work on now. My afternoon was free for me to gather more void souls in the badlands for the void spirits, then I shoplifted some seeds and saplings from Pierre, just for fun, and took a late night trip to the desert to trade for some more staircases. As you might be able to tell from the over 100 jades, I'd forgotten about this for several weeks. Morgan was at my door bright and early on day 274 to ask me to observe their big magic test which will take place in West Indisap. Given how the recent transmutation lesson went, I got to see how this plays out, and their warp skills could do with some brushing up as well it seems. In my mail today was a new cooking recipe from Mr. Key for a rice bowl which sounded delicious, but I won't be cooking that just yet. I got ancient fruit to harvest. It was time for Morgan's big test after that. I had no idea what they were trying to achieve here, but before long, they started to become surrounded by various forest creatures, which apparently was proof of Mother Nature's faith in Morgan. I suppose I could have asked Morgan to tell the crows to leave me in these lands alone, but they're obviously still inexperienced, and I didn't want to get something lost in translation with the crows. It could have just made matters worse. However, I did somehow gain some knowledge that will make my animals produce higher quality goods, so that's cool. Coming back up through West Indisap, I noticed another little Junimo entering the vineyard. Is Apples getting their friends back? This new one is called Peaches. I wonder if they eat their friends too, but it looks like this is the only Junimo who isn't shunning Apples for growing the starfruit here. They headed over to the Junimo woods together. I'm not sure where I'm watching this from, or what exactly is even going on here, but there was a lot of hopping and dancing, so I could only assume this was good. Apples brought everyone over to the vineyard to meet their starfruit friends, and I followed them in there shortly after because it's clearly not a party without me. The last stop on the party house tour was the mother starfruit tree in the basement. I'm glad I came here today, kind of. The Junimo shared their special knowledge with me, and now starfruit are more valuable. Shame I can't really grow masses of them, so I can't really benefit much from this. All of that meant I couldn't get my planned visit to the Crimson Badlands done until almost evening. I still gotta get those void souls, but even adding those 12 to my storage at home, I still don't have enough. The void spirit needs 60 of them, then I need more to craft with, but I did get a bonus slime egg out there. Day 275 was spent in Skull Cabin searching for iron, iridium and loot. I had plenty of staircases I could burn through this time, so I could race down to the lower floors where the iridium node should, in theory, be way more common. Now I was expecting to come home with more ores than usual, but it was floor 200 that filled me with joy because there were not one, but 2 treasure chests waiting for me. I didn't know that was a thing. I don't think I've ever seen it before, and one of them had an auto patter. I carried on with my ore grind, passing out for the night all the way down on floor 241. Let's see what that meant for our next morning's loot review. So I am happy with the 288 iron ore I came back with, but the iridium vision took over. I focused more on that, so there's over 500 ore waiting for a smelting. You know about the auto petter. I didn't find any slime eggs today, but the main other find I was pleased with were the 14 golden mystery boxes. Let's hope that at least one of them has the books that Mr. Key needs. I had to keep carrying all that loot weight whilst I spoke to apples on my doorstep first thing that morning. Sounds like apples and their Junimo friends ate all of the starfruit friends, so now they're giving me the option to either restore the vineyard and go back home, or they can carry on living there. I don't really need the space at the vineyard, but I still asked for it to be refurbished so that apples will be harder to find for Abigail. This is how I get my revenge. They asked me to come and check out the building, but I had to tend to all the ancient fruit, wine and jelly first, with another 14 kegs added to the house. Then I could go visit the vineyard, which apples and peaches were just finishing up their work on. They didn't seem sad to be leaving either, which is a win-win really, but they asked me to visit them at their new home in the woods with the other Judimo sometime. They weren't over there today, but it did remind me to check out Peach's store because they recently let me know about a new item for sale. Not that I can buy or steal it, but I wanted to see what it was. It's a super starfruit, and you can use this to ask apples to move in as a roommate, a bit like the Void Ghost pendant for Krobus. I did have another purple gift to hand out though, a slime egg for Mr. Key. I checked to see if he was in the Skull Caverns entrance where he sometimes hangs out, and he was just stepping out of the mines there. He asked how I'm enjoying the caverns, and I have to say, it's been really fun exploring them. The iridium is nice too. Obviously, it's Mr. Key who leaves the loot in there for us, so I'm surprised it isn't just full of purple slime eggs. But hey, he's right. I never get bored in there. He vanished off to his home before I had the chance to go give the gift, so I handled that. Then I brought some gold quality corn to the donation bin in Pierre's for the prime produce special order. I was happy I had loads of corn planted, and it's a nice cheap veggie, so I can still make a profit from him. He always pays 2,500 gold for this, so don't be giving him things like pumpkins if you can help it to avoid a massive loss. Getting a single fairy dust from the price ticket machine was kind of rubbish at that point, and it was only on my way home that I remembered to shoplift. I was always going to steal from Pierre today because of the quest. I just got distracted when I knew there was a prize ticket waiting for me. All of this morning's ancient fruit products and a handful of other bits brought in 673 grand overnight. Then on day 277, I found a new challenge in the mail from Mr. Key promising even more gold if I'm able to complete it. He's after 100 iridium bars. I've got almost 500 of them, and it doesn't look like I need to make them fresh, so I waited just outside the Oasis shop for him to emerge for the day so I could hand them over ASAP. I got 155 grand for them. I don't have the blacksmith profession at the moment, so that's a huge profit over selling them as they are. I've got no idea if this amount changes if you do have the blacksmith profession, but even if you did, it's an extra 5 grand for some spare materials laying around. And actually, I think that completed our friendship, arguably a more valuable reward than the gold. That's all the friendships now completed. Over in the quarry, my oak trees were ready for their tappers. Then it was time for another adventure guild sell-off, which did include that heavy shield. It's awesome and all, I just know I won't be using it, so it's going with the rest of the clutter. To get another perfection milestone checked off today, I took aim at the magma sprites in the volcano again. I only have 4 to go this time, so it wasn't long before I'd slain the rest I needed, but I carried on in there for a while longer. I think I was on complete autopilot in there, and I didn't realise at first that I got them. Like you can see here when I got to floor 6, I used look up anything to give me a little status update, and once I noticed I'd more than met the goal, I was out of there. Despite now having the mill on my farm, I feel like stealing from Pierre's store has become something of a habit. Today would be no different, except he was holidaying on Ginger Island today, so I foraged at the beach to kill a little bit of time, and just lurked behind the store waiting for him to return and remove the box. Could I have gone somewhere else? Sure, but I was feeling stubborn about it today for some reason. I got a new wallpaper for my patients, perfect for Raven's room to replace the dino wallpaper because the only ancient thing in here should be the ancient fruit wine. Day 278, and Mr. Key was so impressed with my general being that he now trusts me to go into his office to access a special store, which I need to check out. But ignoring the other mini shipping bin, I got an even more interesting mail which shows us that Mr. Key isn't completely infallible. He's only gone and lost his briefcase, and he's sending me off to track it down. He said he might have left it somewhere dark and secluded. I mulled that information over while setting up another 25 new dehydrators. I won't have nearly enough ancient fruit to fill all of these out each day, but I've been accumulating quite a lot of other fruit from the trees and the shed garden, so I might as well boost its value. When I was clearing my bins at the bus stop, which I still do most days, I thought it would be worth checking the bus tunnel for the briefcase. That's dark and secluded, and we know that Mr. Key has previously been in here even if a long time ago to leave notes for the club card quest, and what do you know? There it is. I used a piece of fibre as an umbrella as I made the trek through the forest to return it to him. He wouldn't tell me what was inside, but I got 7,000 gold for my troubles. I knew I wouldn't be spending any of those funds on his shop, but I still wanted to have a look. He was already waiting for me in that office to shower me with compliments, but after all of that, I found nothing for sale whatsoever at the store. You can't steal from here either, and I'll let you know now that I did check this shop several times throughout the rest of the year, but it was always empty, so I'm not sure what we're supposed to see. The full friendship also means the other door in his home is unlocked, and in here is a private museum. Some of the pieces are familiar to us, but there are some extra things that I guess the rest of the world just wouldn't be ready for. After having a little poke around in there, I checked the warp just next to that door, and it does in fact take us to the walnut room. There's a little perfection progress update whilst we're in here. All that stands between us and perfection now is the golden clock and some cooking and crafting bits I need to finish up. Seeing that prompted me to chop some of the island's wood towards even more future kegs, before popping off home to sell off my spare slime eggs I don't need anymore, and some treasure chests I had stashed. I then brought some materials to the island trader to learn the deluxe retaining soil recipe and the banana pudding recipe before shoplifting a single bag of rice from Pierre's place. That actually came in handy. I used it to start making some vinegar in one of my kegs to replace the one I used from my fridge as part of continuing to work through the cooking and crafting. I even hurried the crystallarium along with producing the hematite so I could get the last 2 magnet rings done and dusted. The crafting isn't quite done just yet, but we did get close. Mr. Key wrote to me again on day 279, this time with an extra reward for one of the tasks I did for him. It was a key fruit mask and 5 more fairy dust. I guess that's kinda cool. I had to get out to the desert to get the warp totem recipe. Yeah, this is still one I forget almost every time till near the end. Then it was time for a major mystery box opening again, from which I got 2 books of mysteries for Mr. Key, right when I don't need them anymore. I also accumulated loads of artifact troves, mostly thanks to the Statue of Treasures, and even though I don't need these artifacts for the museum, I should definitely make a profit selling all of them off, especially with the power of the treasure appraisal guide tripling their value. I spent a good few hours around lunchtime cooking up some first time meals. Not that any of them were for my lunch, and we did get through a lot more dishes, but I'm still missing a few ingredients for the achievement. The garlic was one of them, and I also need an extra 10 to craft the oil of garlic, so I'm grateful that they only take a few days to grow. When I shoplifted from Pierre's counter, I thought I'd try my luck with his pockets too, and his response might have looked particularly aggressive, but I didn't get anything anyway, like I often don't, so I just act like he's making a joke. Same with anyone else who catches me. Before turning in for an early night, I pulled out a bunch of extra monster loot, gems, and other excess materials from my chest. I'd rather them go towards the golden clock than collect dust, and it was so worth it. Look at all this gold. I started off day 280 with a little more cooking. Still not quite done with that one, but I could complete a request from the raccoons of a diamond and some bat wings. I get so much fairy dust on this farm. I cleared a couple more journal quests today too, like a very overdue starfruit for Kent and a battery for Pam. Then spun the casino slots to top up my key coin balance so I could keep up my farm totem supply. I'm loving these where I can't have the return scepter. I still have several hours to kill before tonight's Moonlight Jelly Festival, so I shoplifted from Pierre who only left me a few mushrooms. I took a trash walk around town, but even with that, I still waited around for a while till I could gain entry to the beach area. I don't have anyone I needed to talk to here, but I wanted to know what Mr. Key would have to say about the event, and it sounds like he finds it about as boring as I do. Though to be fair, I was just grateful to have one of those events where I get to keep up my appearances without anything expected of me. I get to just be. Now that I don't need the starfruit anymore, I decided to dehydrate it for a good cash boost. I'm still desperately trying to outrun these taxes. We have 1.5 million being deducted tomorrow due to how much we made last season. As for the crop planting, I supplemented the corn with a small amount of full crop seeds I'd saved, and not planting all that much on the turn of a season meant I had loads of time to handle the weekly ancient fruit harvest. At this point, I think I was just shoplifting from Pierre's for sport, and for this week's special order, I was happy to take on Robin's resource rush. I could always do with the wood. Waking up the next day, I wanted to get that tax bill mail out of the way but found a letter from Mr. Key at the top. He's got a new quest for me for 5 magic rock candies. I think I ate 2 last season, so this will take a bit to put together. Anyways, here's the enormous tax bill, and this season gave me the idea to try something new. In terms of golden clock funds, I mean. I was determined to achieve 100% perfection by the end of the year, and the only thing I thought that would cause any amount of delay were those taxes. So for this season, I'm hoarding a large portion of my significant money makers and leaving them in a chest to keep my next tax bill super low. Then once I think I'm ready, I can sell all of it at once and get the clock done in the hopes that I won't even need to see a tax bill the month after. Fingers crossed that makes any sense and that it even works out. Robin's resource rush couldn't come at a better time. The farm was in dire need of a cleanup, then it was about now that I was starting to panic a little about the thieving skill. Reaching level 10 on its own isn't a requirement for perfection, but there were still some recipes from the remaining levels that I do need to unlock. Even with the amount that I was pickpocketing, the grind was extremely slow. I was still at level 6 after a year and a half, so I decided to triple the overall amount of XP. I don't usually do this sort of thing, but it didn't make sense to me to prolong everything for a skill grind that is slowed by a cooldown between steal attempts. You'll soon see that even with this massive boost, it does still take a long time to max out. With the greenhouse garlic now ready, I could get the oil of garlic crafted and my first rose bowl cooked up. Then it was time for the next round of ancient fruit wine. I added 50 more kegs to my no longer empty basement, and all 246 bottles of wine this week will be put in the chest for future selling. I do have another bunch of materials and treasures towards the golden clock in here too. I will still be selling off some smaller batches of stuff though, like the cheaper of the dried fruits and some other random bits. If the farm made no money at all, I think that would raise suspicions, and we're really trying to avoid that. I still had a few more bits of crafting I could get done the morning of day 283. I will say, at this point, I knew I had some cooking recipes to unlock for the thieving skill, but I didn't know I had any crafting ones. I thought that some of my unknown recipes might be at Isaac's store in the Badlands, and I haven't checked that one yet. He won't be selling stuff again until Monday, so I got a reminder into my journal. To make some headway on the magic rock candy for Mr. Key, I wanted to collect some more golden mystery boxes to trade with the raccoons. 20 golden boxes gets us just one magic rock candy, but it's guaranteed this way, and it gives us an extra boost rather than getting just one a week from the desert on a Thursday. I don't have any of those at home, so I chose to take out some monsters in the Highlands, and also cleared out the diamond cavern as another source of golden clock money. I was hoping to slay the golden slime for some extra loot too, but fought the dino boss instead when I couldn't find it. Sadly, I only got 2 mystery boxes all afternoon. I even tried using up the spare treasure totem from my chest, but I only dug up 2 regular ones from that. On day 284, I forgot to record, but according to my notes, I went to the Highlands again and slayed the golden slime and the old dino for profit, as well as some other monsters for some golden mystery boxes. I also remembered to trade for the magic rock candy in the desert. Another place for lots of monsters and potentially mystery boxes is Skull Caverns, so that's what I got up to on day 285. At first, my hunt felt quite a bit better down here, and the iridium certainly wouldn't go amiss, but passing out on floor 205, you can see from my hotbar that the mystery boxes didn't go well for the rest of the day. Let's have a look if the rest of the loot review makes up for it. So yeah, I did think I'd come up with more than 6 mystery boxes, but I've come home with plenty of iridium, and I found 4 prizzies to pay for another desert trade, so that's something. Also, peep the new shirt. I got that from a monster, and thought it would suit Ember's ice cold heart. It's perfect. On day 286, I set 4 of my iridium sprinklers back up in the rain. I had so many artichoke seeds in my chest, and a few other crops I missed, and it would just be silly not to plant them. Those weren't enough to occupy every spot, so the rest got planted with mixed seeds. I couldn't remember why I never chose the blacksmith profession, but I decided today that I'd visit the sewer dog statue to reset my mining skill for it. I don't really see this as buying something. It's an offering to some strange power somewhere, and that's not the same. Funnily enough, my prize ticket from Robin's Resource Rush gave me 5 more iridium bars, which will go into my selling stockpile, especially once they're worth more. It only felt right to shoplift from her today, where I got a bunch of fibre for future scarecrows, and a pomegranate from Demetrius's pockets added to my steals. Then, for my evening, I foraged and fought things in the desert. I still don't have the void souls for the void spirits. I hope they won't be too angry with how long it's taking. I had some time on day 287 to make some progress on Project Crow's Begone. I hadn't done anything around the main parts of Pelican Town, so I made 10 deluxe scarecrows and got the whole community centre zone covered, with a few left over to start off the town square area. I definitely had fun finding spots that meant they weren't just plonked in the middle of the pathways. It was another afternoon scooping up void souls in the Badlands. Then I spent the evening looking for blackberries and all of Cindersap towards the baked berry oatmeal. I completely forgot the blackberry season starts tomorrow, so they're about to be widely available. On day 288, I could visit Isaac's store at the Galdoran outpost for the first time, only to find no recipes for sale whatsoever, and just like the other two, he has some incredible stuff for sale which I can't buy nor steal. I handled my usual Monday harvest duties, and whilst I was at the island for that too, I bought a few hoppers from the key gem shop to settle with some of my mayo machines. With blackberry season here, it wasn't long before I had all the blackberries I needed to cook the baked berry oatmeal, so now my remaining cooking recipes I'll unlock with the thieving skill levels, which I'm still very much chipping away at. Day 289 was a wine day, with a whopping 42 more kegs being added to my basement. The ancient fruit jelly happened to be ready at the same time, and those I've been selling when they're ready as part of my totally not hoarding my profits cover. I was really hoping for more mystery boxes from the raccoons in exchange for some fish they'd asked for, but I got a book of stars instead. Where was this when I needed it before? I then gathered void souls in the Badlands yet again, but I'm pleased to report that I finally had the 60 I needed after that trip, and rushed over to the sewer to hand them to Krobus. They didn't even acknowledge them, so we'll just see what happens I guess, and I shoplifted from Clint's this time on my way home. I still targeted him the following morning and removed a big honey jar from his pockets. I remained hidden whilst waiting for a shop to open because the inner loot goblin got me, and I chose to just open those 17 mystery boxes instead of trading them. There is still a teeny tiny chance of finding a magic rock candy in these, but luck wasn't on my side in this batch, so this was just a massive waste and I instantly regretted it. Taking my axe to the forest was a great way to blow off some steam. I had Robin's resource rush again, but I carried on a lot longer and got almost triple the amount of wood simply because I felt like it. Krobus was waiting on the farm when I lugged all of that home to summon me to the mines, but I was exhausted from all the shopping, so that's not happening tonight. On day 291, I could trade for my next magic rock candy in the desert, so now we're on 3 out of 5. I didn't leave the desert without picking a golden carrot from Sandy's pockets, then given how long the shadow spirits had already been waiting for me, I thought I'd better make haste to visit them in the mines. I wasn't sure what to expect, but they used the void cells to perform some sort of magic or ritual to bring back some void spirit children to their families. With the return of their loved ones, the humans are officially at peace with the shadow people, and we won't harm each other anymore. I can't tell you how much easier this made it to run through the Highland caves where I was hoping to find some mystic nodes. There was only one, but it got me a prizzy, so I could leave happy. On day 292, I wanted to try another magic rock candy strat, which was to hit the quarry mines to smash some haunted skulls, because those have a chance of dropping them too. It's only a 0.13% chance, but I also have a chance for more mystery boxes this way as well. I didn't find one in there today, and I think they only respawn daily, so I can't just keep going in and out of this cave to farm them. But if I'm lucky, I might find a floor in the normal mines that gets transformed into a level like the quarry cave for the day, and those I can keep resetting in the same day. This would work best if it's on a level close to an elevator to reduce the travel time between resets, and after searching a lot of floors, I almost couldn't believe it when I found what I was looking for on floor 61. I still have to find the magic rock candy, but this will be my best chance for today at least. No YouTube luck at play here though. I stayed past midnight and didn't get a single sweet treat, but I did find a few cursed mannequins to guard my mine's chest for me. I had reached level 7 thieving that day, but I didn't get the notification overnight, so I guess I didn't unlock anything. Then on day 293, I went back to the golden mystery box trade route instead via some monsters in the Highlands. I know I'm dedicating a lot of time to this quest, but I'm at a point where I'm really just waiting for money and thieving XP, so this is a great way to fill our time. Some days will probably still be shorter though from here on out. Anyway, I brought a ginger ale with me and a few lucky lunches, because the drop rates of the mystery boxes do actually improve with luck. I also happened upon the gold slime again, pleased to get the loot boost from its drops, and after a day packed full of monster slaying and a nighttime dino kill, I came home with 13 more golden mystery boxes in a single day. After some farm chores and some crop harvesting on day 294, I wanted to mix things up a bit by adding some more pathing to the farm, and I rewarded myself for improving the place by shoplifting from Clint. On day 295, I installed the Better Crafting mod to help me identify the missing crafting recipes. This is when I found out I was yet to learn 4 of them, all of which come from the thieving skill with levels 8 and 9. Was I worried about this? Kind of, but there wasn't much I could do about it other than keep grinding away at every opportunity that I could, and with that in mind, it was on with the ancient fruit harvest first. My trip to the Highlands a couple of days ago meant I had enough golden mystery boxes for my next magic rock candy. Just one left to go now. Then I did some chill mining in the mineral cave at the frontier area because hitting rocks without getting attacked was pretty therapeutic. Then I headed into town to shoplift from Clint, pickpocket from Gunther, and had a few more regular scarecrows around the place. I rushed through the winemaking on day 296 because the Stardew Valley Fair had rolled back around for the year. My selection of rare and expensive goods were plenty to secure the top prize for the 3rd year running, and prize-wise, all I really wanted this year was the prize ticket, but I did reward myself with some ice cream sundaes in town for my performance today. After tending to some artisan goods, I was headed for Skull Caverns on day 297. I was after the iridium as a good source of income, plus I just like it here. It was a pretty chill run, and I passed out on floor 185 this time, but let's see what we've got in our next morning's loot review. I got just over 600 iridium ores there. That'll be at least 120 bars. More if we're lucky, and I got a few whole ones down there. The 6 prizzies in particular were an awesome added win, because half of those got spent on day 298 on my 5th magic rock candy from the desert trader. That meant I could finally complete Mr. Key's request. I handed them over to him at his home, and he'd said he'd give me a whole pile of gold for them, but I was expecting more than 33 grand, especially considering this is less than the cost of the 15 prismatic shards they would cost, getting them all from the trader. I was hoping this might mean that there would be some more stock now at his store, but it's going to continue to remain empty. I'm still not sure what was ever supposed to be in here. He was now over in his museum. I wanted to ask him about that shop, but I just had to hear about this room first, so he gave me a tour of his personal collection. We only get to hear about the prismatic shard and the orb of creation. I do wish we get told more, but I understand it would have just been a really long cutscene. Our time over there was apparently interesting though. Still nothing at the store after that either, so I was out of there to tackle some of my farming to-do list. On my way into town to collect the prize ticket from the fair, I added to my collection of garbage hats outside Lewis's. The ticket machine only spat out a star drop tea at me, now useless with all the friendships complete, and yet I still can't help but hoard it. I chilled out for the evening adding some paths around the slime hutch I barely take care of, then shoplifted from Willy for a change. Just a cork bobber and some seaweed. Kinda wish I hadn't bothered. On day 299, I got some extra gifts from Mr. Key for the Magic Rock Candy quest of 3 Iridium Snake Milk. These don't work the same as the first one we get in Skull Caverns. They do get some decent buffs, especially the +4 luck, though they do cost energy, even if not enough to pass out. That would be easily repaired with food. However, the buff effects only last for 4 minutes, so all 3 of these wouldn't really even last a game day. I therefore don't end up drinking them. Much of the rest of this day was spent using cherry bombs to gather stone from a few locations. I had the stone version of Robin's Resource Rush, and Skull Caverns took me over halfway, but I wanted to finish it off. The quarry and its caves are an awesome place for this, and it was there that I could collect my payment. I had to go back into town for the prize ticket and couldn't help shoplifting from Pierre along the way, but this prize I was a little bit more excited about. It was a treasure chest to sell for another few grand. On day 300, I made 15 more deluxe scarecrows to add all around the valley. I had some gaps in the forest and a few more other zones that needed decrowing, but even with those, Project Crows Begone isn't quite complete yet. I'll come out with more in a future day. I was feeling confident that our saved up artisan products would soon approach what we need for the golden clock, so out of impatience, I wanted to test something. I checked my current tax bill, then sold off some spare gems from my chest directly to Clint to see if that would count as taxable income. I was really hoping it would only count the income from the shipping bin, but they've thought of that, so I'll keep holding out on the big purchase until winter. On day 301, I topped up on some staircases before running around the island and the town with laser focus on my thieving skill practice. I still have 1200 XP to go till level 8. See what I mean? It's still pretty slow, even after tripling it. By the afternoon, I was thinking that the bad luck day might even influence my lack of success, so I just pathed the farm a bit more. With the thief skill being pretty much my only concern, I'll be spending a considerable amount of time over the coming days running around and squeezing in pickpocket attempts, though I did also welcome the next ancient fruit harvest on day 302, and got showered with cash by the prismatic butterfly waiting for me at the bus stop. I could also claim the 2 jack-o'-lanterns outside the community centre, and despite the crowds inside the building for community day, I did manage to make away with a blueberries pie from Marnie without anyone noticing. I couldn't help shoplifting from Pierre at an earlier hour whilst he was out of the store too, and by the time all of my targets went home for the day, my next batch of wine was ready. I think I stopped adding kegs here each week. I knew I'd have enough money in time. All I did on day 303 was repeatedly try to pickpocket the same bug in the mines. You can't pickpocket the NPCs more than twice a week because they work like gift attempts, or potentially reverse gift attempts, but the monsters, you can steal from the same one as many times as you want, with the limit just being the cooldown. The cooldown's duration seems to be somewhat random, but out of 16 attempts on this one bug, I was only successful 5 times, so about 31% of the time, though one of them was a treasure chest, worth it on its own. I wanted to test my luck theory on day 304, so this time I brought some lucky lunches with me because the daily luck was similar to yesterday. I spent a whole other day on this. I killed the slime so it wouldn't bother me, then on this day, I gained loot on 6 out of 15 attempts, or about 40% of the time. It wasn't enough for me to definitively say that luck affects the loot chances, but I did get a Super Jojo Cola today, and I can't complain at that, even if I still haven't reached level 8 thieving. Despite the worst luck on day 305, I wanted to know if I'd be more successful just focusing on the villagers, as failing to steal gives far less XP. I lurked in various locations around town waiting out the cooldown, and made sure to speak to anyone who seemed to catch me to make it look like I'm just a klutz bumping into them trying to say hi. Out of today's 12 attempts, I pocketed some items just twice all day, but it did give me enough XP to finally reach level 8, which not only increases my chances a little, but I also unlocked 3 of the 4 missing crafting recipes. Just 1 crafting and 1 cooking recipe left to unlock now. Day 306 had some better luck, so I boosted it with a lucky lunch to see how different things would be on the villagers. I tried to pickpocket 13 people today and scored some loot 6 times, a huge improvement. Our new level would have helped a bit there, but it was only a 2% increase from that, so I was pretty sure the better luck contributed. As much as I adore the loot, the extra success will really help with the XP grind. On day 307, most of the villages were inaccessible whilst the town was setting up for Spirit's Eve, so I hung out on the farm to do chores there, whilst dipping in and out of my slime hutch to practice my thieving on them instead. I also wanted to get those new craftables done, and thankfully had enough marble left over to do the dark floors and the matching dark brazier, but the scary brazier says it requires a certain houseplant, which was weird. This just so happened to be the one the house came with, but it didn't work, and the quantities were kind of odd. Like 388 coal? What? It turns out there was a misnumber in the recipe. The materials were a little out of whack. I will fix this on a future day. When the Spirit's Eve festivities began, I was surprised at just how different the maze was looking this year. It took me longer to reach the usual spot, and despite what Mr. Key said about the prize, it certainly wasn't here. I'm not falling for that though. There's got to be treasure around here somewhere. And sure enough, a little more persistence led me to a new path where my prize of 3 golden pumpkins were hiding out. No loot left behind. On day 308, I fixed the scary brazier recipe. I don't actually know what the recipe should have been, but the houseplant I replaced with a golden pumpkin because the description mentions a face, and I was envisioning almost a golden jack-o'-lantern on a post type of vibe. I know the 388 coal was probably part of the error in the recipe, but I thought it was kind of funny, so I kept it, and the copper is as it was before. This day was much like yesterday, dipping in and out of the slime hutch to loot them, in between some little farm tasks, in an attempt to stay productive whilst grinding the thief skill. A delivery to the raccoons help makes my day up a little, even if I'm not going to be in need of the star drop tea, but once I'd exhausted all the farm tasks, I did just wait out my cooldown outside the slime hutch. It was just easier than chasing people down around town, though I did leave briefly to shoplift a single duck egg from Marnie's, and as rubbish as that was, my slimes made up for it with 3 Grumpleton orange chickens as a little last win for the season. Thanks to hiding most of our wealth in a chest last season, I was notified that tomorrow's tax deduction will be less than 500,000 gold. That's so much less of a setback for the golden clock. I had to handle the new week's ancient fruit harvest, squeezing in pickpocket attempts where I could of course, and after getting a portion of those fruits into kegs, I retrieved all those heaved up goodies from my sort of piggy bank chest. That's loads of treasures, hundreds of iridium bars, hundreds of dried fruits, and 1,418 bottles of ancient fruit wine, plus a few other little bits, all going into the shipping bin in one go. I don't know how Lewis is going to carry all of this, but I can't wait to see the big wiggly number tonight. Do I need these right now? No, but I shoplifted from Pierre anyway, then kept Mario company on this bench for a while so I could stealthily run off with her jades. I squeezed in a couple more failed attempts before going home to my slime hutch, but instead of having to keep waiting in the cold and dipping in and out of the place, I had the bright idea of just putting on my slime charmer ring so I could huddle with them all indoors. I mean, I can't imagine this is much warmer really, but it was certainly easier. With the amount of XP we still need to gain, I was still kind of worried about getting this done before the end of the year, but I'm going to keep soldiering on. At least tonight, I could lift my spirits seeing the sudden influx of cash roll in, and look at that! That's almost 7 million gold! I dread to think what that would do to our spring year 4 taxes, so the pressure's officially on to reach perfection this year. That being said, I did check the expected bill first thing the next morning, and it was only reading like 10 grand. I hadn't changed any of the settings, but I did have to quit my game between days there. I couldn't tell if something went wrong, or if we found a ridiculous loophole in the tax regime here, like maybe they don't count it on the first day of the month, not that they'd tell their citizens of course. With 12 million gold in my wallet, I wasn't bothered about the 458 grand that just got deducted, and I wasn't going to spend another minute without that wildly extravagant golden clock on my farm. Now, literally all I have to do is commit enough thievery to learn the remaining recipes to see that beautiful 100% perfection. I trekked around the whole region targeting the townies while searching for today's prismatic butterfly who showered me with another 50 grand. I grew tired of all the running around though, so I retreated to my slime hutch with a bunch of lucky lunches to improve my chances, and therefore my experience gains. I'm gonna need to remain focused if I want to beat this goal in time, and remain focused I did. I'm not joking when I tell you I spent the entirety of that afternoon, and the following 4 days doing nothing but steal from my slimes in the hutch. By day 315, I felt the exasperation creeping in with how I still haven't got to level 9, and despite the intense tunnel vision, I'd only gained like 1000 XP that whole time. I took the early morning to ponder my next move, and began to wonder if the gains were that slow because I was only targeting monsters. I'd been trying to avoid running laps around town, but I felt I didn't have much to lose by at least trying the more laborious method of hunting down the townies, or whatever's in their pockets. Like Shane here, I got like 100 XP from him alone, and in somehow scoring 4 farmers' lunches from Marnie without her noticing, I got about the same. This might just be the ticket. I managed to locate another target most of the time before my cooldown even wore off, and honestly, I felt like I was seeing a significant higher success rate in general here today, and got to come home with some incredible finds, though I will just be sending them all. I don't really need any of this. The grind was worth it too. I got well over 800 XP in this one day, as opposed to the 250 per day I was getting from the slimes, so this accelerated me into level 9 thieving, unlocking my last 2 recipes, the burglar ring and the carrot cake. Needless to say, the first thing I did the next morning was craft them both for the first time. I started with the burglar ring, but was baffled by the lack of craftmaster achievement. Going the menu, I found one more uncrafted item, the lockpick? I've definitely done this one multiple times by this point, but I did it again, and there's the achievement. That was weird, but I didn't care. I raced into the kitchen to whip up a carrot cake, but when I struggled to find it with my brain going too fast, I went into the categories and added a filter for not yet crafted to make my life a bit easier. There's our carrot cake, and now I'm officially a gourmet chef. I ignored all the wine and the next ancient fruit harvest to book it to the walnut room. There we have it. 100% perfection. I celebrated by pickpocketing from Mr. Key in his own home who caught me, and despite his yelling, he didn't seem to actually care. See, like he says, I don't always avoid danger. As tempted as I was to go straight to bed, I decided to attend the festival of ice so I could beat all these losers one last time. I I thought there's no better way to end off my pre-perfection era. Slight issue. I woke up on day 317, awaiting those lovely perfection messages to make their appearance, but I was met with silence and confusion. What the heck happened? I returned to the perfection tracker to find the crafting completion was back at 99%. How? I had one single suspect, and my suspicions were unfortunately correct. The lockpick. You've watched me craft this darn thing numerous times now, and trust it to be that, of all things, ironically, locking me out. Unfortunately, crafting it again won't solve it. I don't know why, but the crafting progress on this one resets every single night, so we'll just be in an endless loop. The only thing I could do was remove the mod entirely, reload my game, and check the tracker again. It was back at reading 100%, and I could have been impatient and gone straight back to sleep, but I saved the day a little. I collected my prize from the Festival of Ice, located another prismatic butterfly, then spent until the evening stealing from villagers who seemed to be directly calling me out more than usual. I'm not sure if I can continue to fool them. I thought it best to head to bed even though it was before 8 PM, so we can finally be summoned back to the summit the morning of day 318, Grandpa beaming with pride. It's not just the Empire farm, the legacy of the new Empire farm is eternal too. The fairy and I joined Scarlet to appreciate the frozen view and reminisce over the past few years. Every day really has been a wild adventure. I mean, being thrown back in time will do that to us. Not that Scarlet knows about all that, I'm speaking for myself. Not only did Mr. Key fail to crush the inner thieving goblin, it seems he's made up with Grandpa. Huh, that's interesting. I wonder if that's why Mr. Key allowed us to befriend him too. We've still got a few weeks of the year left to go, and we're going to be seeing it through. I've got plenty in store for you all, so stick around for some mischief and chaos. I will say, it has been lovely having Scarlet keep us company through a lot of this journey. She's really cool, and I have just the grand gesture to thank her. Yes, divorce. It's out of kindness, I swear. You see, now that I've achieved perfection, I don't care about what the town thinks of me, and I don't want to get her wrapped up in that reputation. I've hidden that side of me from her pretty well, but there is one person who it would be insulting to keep believing that he doesn't really know what we've been up to. You might have noticed that Mr. Key is actually dateable, and I just felt like it would be rude to ignore exploring all the heart events he has to offer, even in this light version of the mod. I didn't even wait for Scarlet to move out to bring him a bouquet. Clearly, he's been intrigued about me, to say the least, this entire time. I stuck around whilst he chatted to me about his houseplants, then handed a parting gift of a slime egg before resuming pickpocket practice around town because it would still be nice to max the skill before the year's over. I wasn't even brushing off the accusations anymore. Lewis isn't going to do anything about it whilst he knows I have a collection of his shorts I could parade around town. Scarlet had vacated the farm on day 319. I'll admit, I'd been considering this for quite some time, but I wanted to hold out for perfection to avoid this friendship reset because we are obviously now at 0 hearts again, and that's where we'll remain so she can keep her distance from all my shenanigans. Now that I don't really need the money, I'm no longer tending to the ancient fruit or artisan products, instead focusing all my energy into the thieving skill. I was much more bold with my pickpocket attempts now, and I wasn't even shoplifting anymore, just basically mugging people for sport. Once it was getting towards nighttime, I wanted one last ditch attempt to get to 10 hearts with Mr. Key and brought him a star drop tea, even though I was pretty sure it wouldn't work. I did also just want to know what he'd say, and you don't lose any friendship, he just doesn't even take it. Apparently he'd rather I spit in a cup, so yeah, that's why I'd not bothered doing that all year. Day 320 was the start of Squidfest. Not that I care, I'm not going. Honestly, all I'm doing till I max this skill is running around pickpocketing, so I'll just skip over those parts for now. We'll just talk about anything else interesting that happens. Like today, I did also scatter another 15 deluxe scarecrows around town, with the last 2 of the day going to Ginger Island. I used a rain totem on day 231 because it was Mr. Key's birthday. Shame it wasn't after marriage, I'd have got a much bigger friendship boost, because I only had less than half a heart to go to get to 10 hearts anyway. But with the rain tomorrow, I'll be able to get the mermaid's pendant this season. Just in the nick of time too. The night market will mean it can't rain even with a totem for all 3 of the days, and I'm, for lack of a better word, impatient. Or efficient. You decide. Getting the bus back to the valley, the prismatic butterfly was waiting at the Pamela's bus stop. It was definitely dropping hints about the sign. This has to be the best one yet. I couldn't help having a quick chat with Key on his forest walk. Did you notice, by the way, that he calls me Lil Goblin now that we're dating? Just perfect for me. You can actually set this in the config to be whatever you want. Out of sheer curiosity, I paid a visit to Sophia's house while Scarlet was visiting to see what she would say. She basically just didn't want to talk, as expected, and as for Sophia, she just asked what happened between us, but when I brushed her off, she just went back to regular old conversation, and since Scarlett no longer accepts gifts, I can't pickpocket her either. I sprinted straight to the beach in this winter rain on day 232 to purchase the mermaid's pendant from the old mariner, and it took a few hours for me to locate and chase down Mr. Key with it. He gladly accepted, though he did say he never pictured himself in a situation like this. Settling down, I mean, and to be honest, neither did I. I'm excited to see how this plays out while settling into my new reputation as the lovable town thief. On day 233, Mr. Key was studying my twice restored and expanded museum collection. There are many more artifacts than what he has at home to suit his constant pursuit of knowledge. He told me he was proud of my work here, and he was excited to see what I focus on next, as if he doesn't know. I got my free and legal coffee from the night market, but I'm still very much on my quest to become a pickpocket master. For a quick progress update, I'm now about halfway into level 9, and being caught so frequently is not helping. Nothing much to report till nighttime on day 324, when I appeared to be interrupting something undeniably shady going on in the walnut room. I really wanted to ask all the questions, but I wasn't sure if that would be safe, so I just asked if the stressed-looking Mr. Key was okay. It was apparently just business, but something didn't seem right, so I checked on him again at home, where he seemed in better spirits. It was his iridium typing snake's feeding day. These are what go towards his iridium snake milk, but to get enough of the extremely deadly venom to consume, he actually owns several thousand of them. The one in his house, called Indigo, is his favourite. She's unusually docile for a feisty species, which is why she's allowed to hang out without a lid on her tank. She is admittedly a very pretty danger noodle, who even likes to be held. It looks almost as good on him as the mermaid pendant in his portrait. I wonder if she'll move in with us too. Day 325 was wedding day. We're holding it in the flower dance field this time. Just thought it would be fun to be here in a season other than spring. It was kind of weird though, like Lewis had to speak as if we've not done this before, and Mr. Key and I weren't quite standing next to each other, so I awkwardly kissed the air, and he kissed my kneecaps. The town seemed less than excited too, but I guess now I'm officially Mrs. Key. Moving on from that slightly disastrous ceremony, seems Mr. Key is happy enough enjoying the farm from a whole new perspective. I gave him a gift to welcome him to his new home, and was surprised to see a mail arrive from him apologising about that weird meeting yesterday. I guess he couldn't just say it to my face. Not surprising. We're married, and I don't even know his first name. Another day of thieving followed, and when I stepped into the saloon on the prowl for my next victim, I was joined by my new husband, who I found out only made himself visible for the wedding. I didn't know he was essentially invisible to everyone else till he told me to stop talking to avoid judgment from any witnesses. He just wanted to hang out with me, so we headed to the side room away from everyone to chat. I couldn't not ask why he wanted to stay hidden, and I suppose it makes sense that he thinks everyone else is a waste of time. Apparently they could see him if they wanted to, but none of them were on my level, so that probably won't happen. It then took me by surprise that he asked to play pool with me. Like, sure, I'm down for a game, but if he's concerned about how I look talking to apparent ghosts, wouldn't a floating pool cue be 1,000 steps further? Anyway, coming home after a fun evening, we get to see Mr. Key without his hat for the first time. Isn't that a sight to sleep to? Whilst I bring him a gift the following morning, you might also notice that Raven has somehow become key-fied. I have no idea how that happened, I'm too afraid to ask. With another couple of pickpocket-packed days, my grind was finally at an end on day 328 with a clownfish from Leo. I could finally do something else, so I took myself to the Highlands to hunt for the golden slime for more key gifts. I was running low, but it must have known I was coming. I couldn't find it anywhere today, so I turned in for the night to pick my level 10 thieving profession. I went with Rogue here to increase my chances of success. It doesn't say it here, but it is about a 10% boost. Without much left to prove anymore though, I could put in a few days of my free time into rearranging and redecorating some of the farm. Well, it was really just the east half of the farm, because it didn't feel authentic to fill out the other half when I haven't used it at all in this entire playthrough. Even ignoring the fact that I didn't have much time or brain space for this recently, I didn't want to place any fences until I had the golden clock so they don't decay, and despite the giant key fruit disrupting the symmetry, it's staying put. I'm never getting rid of it. I'll unveil the finished farm at the end of the video, but it was nice to have this little break. I was however getting sick of the sight of the farm by the second night of decorating, so I wanted to take a walk in town whilst it was quiet. I joined Mr. Key at the fountain. I guess he had the same idea, but he seemed to have a lot more in his mind, so I asked him what was up. I got nervous there for a minute when he spoke about never imagining having a true relationship with anyone, until he revealed that he's never been quite so content before. I have still been giving him gifts each morning to see what else we can learn about him in between all the decorating, but nothing of note really happened for day 332 besides my successful game of hide and seek with a prismatic butterfly, so it's on to Winter Star Day for day 333. Mr. Key doesn't really care for these festivities, but I gave him a magic lamp anyway. He even gave me a triple shot espresso in return, and hey, I forgot to look at his spouse room till now. I wish we could peek into all of these mystery boxes, and Indigo has in fact moved in with us. I waited on the farm till the feast began in town, except I kinda zoned out for a long time and very well could have missed it if I didn't notice.
Oh shoot.
I made it in time to bring Olivia a nondescript bottle of wine, and my gift giver this year was Andy. What's in the box this time? A glow ring? Do I not shine enough, Andy? Rubbish. On day 334, I'd officially run out of love gifts for Mr. Key. Okay, fine. You can have the tea set off my own table. Now I really am out of gifts, so it was off to the Highlands, where it didn't take me all that long to find and squash the golden slime for its eggs. Back in the valley, I was hoping to keep my thief skills sharp with some library victims, but found Mr. Key browsing for some new reads. I'm not much of a reader myself, and he'd probably have an easier time getting some recommendations if he knows the townies, so I asked again why he has to keep hidden from everyone. He didn't appreciate the having to repeat himself, but to him, everyone else lacked any substance and ambition, so I used Maro as a point. Not only is she a nurse, but she invents cool stuff all the time, and he couldn't argue with that. Sure, I'm a thief, but according to Mr. Key, I can still notice the best in people, and clearly he just hasn't looked hard enough. As of today, he'll allow people to see him, and he'll actually make an effort to socialise. We thought it would be a bit much to just go right up and introduce him to everyone, so for now I just hung out in the open area of the library with him whilst he read to me, so people could just observe the new blue man from a distance, and see that he's not that scary. I checked in on him in the forest a little later. He had nothing to say about this new step he's taking, but informed me that the wizard didn't approve of us. I needed to know what Resmodius had to say. Not sure what sort of agreement they have between them, but I wasn't shaken by his attempt at intimidation. Him watching us is not exactly new, and it's no surprise that several of the townies are equally uncomfortable. Now that I don't feel so restricted by the bounds of this challenge, I decided to add movie tickets as an allowable purchase. I just really wanted to see what Mr. Key would think about the movies, and was curious about his snack tastes. Looking through them all for today, I was unsurprised that the black licorice was the favourite amongst them all, but the showing of the Zuzu City Express bored him almost to sleep. The snack woke him up a bit, but that was actually his description of a movie that wasn't too bad. I escaped to the island with nearly 30 deluxe scarecrows. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about Project Crow's Begun, even if I am cutting it close, but I managed to finish protecting the entirety of Ginger Island, and filled in the few remaining gaps in town to finally call this project complete. Mr. Key cooked me some spaghetti to refuel after all that hard work. Then for day 336, the last day of the year, I took a quiet stroll around the farm to take everything in we've been through over the past 3 years, and used the abundant grass to refill my empty, forgotten silos, knowing that all of this grass will regrow again soon. We didn't quite manage to reach 14 hearts with Mr. Key in time for this last day, but I just know we still have some cutscenes left with him that I didn't want to miss. Those will take us a few days into spring, so let's head to bed to find out what these next few days will bring. On day 337, I brought my last few mystery boxes to Clint for one final hit of loot. A book of mysteries would have been nice, but I wasn't bothered about not finding one. I pickpocketed Clint just because I can, especially now that the town's accepted that being a little thief is just who I am, and then I brought the raccoons one last veggie delivery for old time's sake. I don't even want the carrot seeds. Even these fried eggs I nicked from Shane, I just dumped on his floor. With a new showing for the new year, Mr. Key and I kicked back and watched The Brave Little Sapling at the cinema. He liked this movie a little bit better, and a Star Drop sorbet was the snack of choice this time. Like I said though, he's hard to read. It looked like he was having a good time, but his debrief after suggested otherwise. Maybe it's just a cover. Either way, that's now max hearts. I slept through day 338 intentionally, then on day 339, I found him conversing with Leah in Cindersap. I didn't quite catch what exactly was going on. Leah just so happened to be leaving as I turned up. I asked about their little chat, surprised to hear he was taking an interest in the flower dance. More specifically, they shared an interest in cooking, so Leah suggested that Mr. Key speak to Gus about helping provide food for the festivals. I gave him a little encouragement for integrating with the town, and it seemed to be going so well that he'd not really given it much thought. Being who he is and all, I was surprised that he took that bit of praise to heart. I didn't think he'd care, but he'll carry on as long as he thinks it makes me happy. We took a walk around the forest together talking about all the dishes he might cook, and I love talking about food. I'll let you in on a little secret. I was absolutely originally planning to learn all of his personal mysteries, then divorce him to ruin his life in revenge for sending me back in time. But this day changed my mind. I stood and watched the golden clock for a while to be alone with my thoughts, then joined Mr. Key in the secret woods, which is where he wandered off to after a walk. It looks like he was conducting an interview with a bear. I knew better than to ask what he was up to, so I just said I enjoy the peace out here, once the slimes are gone that is. My remark once again caught him off guard. I guess it makes sense for him to enjoy the fact that I can be unpredictable, even in the nicer ways. Back on the farm, he asked me to meet him at the bus stop tomorrow afternoon. I'm not going to say no to that, but I was worried that the rain forecast might ruin our plans, so I crafted and used a sun totem to shoo the clouds away. I woke up on day 340 to tell Mr. Key I was excited about the afternoon plans, and he told me that he wasn't looking forward to the saloon this evening as he wasn't feeling very social. Hopefully I don't count and it won't kill the mood, but then I came outside to find a letter from him sending me off to retrieve one of his lost hats. He could have just asked me to my face, so I wasn't holding out much hope for later if he had to put that request in a letter. I wanted to avoid making things any worse, so I retraced our steps from yesterday through Cindersand Forest, followed by the secret woods, where I spotted it laying in front of Old Master Cannoli. It was still the morning when I returned that to him. Apparently it's his special occasion hat, so perhaps he wanted it for whatever we're doing today. I stood and watched time pass by at the golden clock. I met Mr. Key at the bus stop as soon as 1 PM hit. We won't be taking the bus today though. He told me to close my eyes, and once I opened them, we were in a new deserty area I've not visited before. It's Mr. Key's personal oasis, and he set us up a lunch date. I'm not sure how I felt that I only got a brief exception to be here, but I couldn't deny that this place was pretty full of wonder. After enjoying some good food in the sunshine, I especially chose Abigail for my final pickpocket target for my egg hunt grudge. Then I could crawl into bed, satisfied with everything we've achieved. Would you look at that, we've done it again! Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed the additional 3 years of Ember's antics with all the extra twists and turns. But with her determination for mischief, loot and chaos, we made it through to the end. Let's hope she doesn't get sent back in time again. Subscribe to the channel to keep up with my future videos too. Thank you so much to my channel members, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!